people in the bonded cellular world, the core for many years was news, but, so people tend to think about, oh, well, mobile journalist. And in fact, one of our products, Mojo Pro, our app, is, mobile journalist, but it goes so far beyond that to, the many, content providers that are streaming to YouTube, to, sometimes they're contributing to an organization that needs content, or they're distributing their own content. And so our product line, runs the gamut from, the very easy to use, lower cost solutions to facilitate the higher end, the higher quality in the basic streaming market, all the way up through, high end, someday maybe, contributing to the Super Bowl. And so we have come out with our Be On Air product called Be On Air, that really starts as an entry level, that enables, a content producer, somebody who's streaming now, number one, to do it a little bit more reliably if they're using a home internet or Wi-Fi connection, at a higher quality in that environment, but also then be able to go mobile and take it anywhere and be able to contribute. And it can be done with a phone app. I mean, the new iPhones, have HD cameras. They look really, really good. To gather and produce and distribute content, whether it's file-based format workflows, as I've mentioned earlier, bringing in files from Mojo, but especially to be able to go, to anywhere really. So it can easily facilitate the technology, as I said, from file workflows to high-end video workflows to social media workflows. And our entry-level Be On Air product that we've put together, really it's a package, not a product. It's based on our set of products, is directed at that market to enable independent content producers to grow and distribute and do it very cost effectively and very easily. Next slide. And I'm not necessarily going to follow just the slide. We had talked about the 320 earlier, but the Air 220, small portable transmitter. One of the things that we didn't touch about is it actually has, from a connection perspective, has even more flexibility than we touched on earlier. And I believe earlier, Jim, we came up with up to 6 connections. So it'll do up to 6 connections, two modem unit, 2 external modems. But one of the really neat features is each modem SIM slot, each modem has 2 SIM slots. So you can have an A and a B. So you're not limited to, just an AT&T and a Verizon. You can have another AT&T and do both AT&T through T-Mobile, but it gives you a lot more flexibility in that. But, it's our H.264 encoder, very, very efficient and very, very high quality. Next. There you go. The other part of the acquisition of the package is the Mojo Pro app. It's free, operates on both iOS and Android smartphones now. Traditionally, we're on version 3 of the iOS. Traditionally, it's a very reliable, proven product on iOS. We've rolled out Android recently. It works on a specific current set of Android offerings, and there is a little difference in the functionality that you get from Android. You don't get all the features yet, and that is combined with one of our Air instances of our Stream Hub. And as we talked about earlier, the Stream Hub, it's more than just a receiver. It's really a transceiver, transcoder. It's designed to facilitate workflow and signal flow across multiple platforms. And when we package it with the Be On Air, it's a very specific configuration. It's capable of one input, whether a Mojo Pro or a Be On Air. You can have multiple Mojo Pros licensed, but you can use one at a time. So either a Mojo Pro or an Air 220 encoder. So you have one input and up to 5 outputs. And it's utilizing, we've already discussed the SST technology and all the advantages of bonding and that. But it's set for up to 5 IP outputs. And those IP outputs can be used for feeding Facebook, for other social media, YouTube, but also to generate an SRT or an RTMP feed to feed it elsewhere. So this could certainly be used to feed the IRD of any broadcast operation in the world, basically. We can utilize IRD or, to bring it in, or as I said, to go, or multiple different distribution points via IRDs for a maybe a news event, things like that. But for social media events as well, you can stream up to 5 outputs.
Well, one thing, Neil, you were telling me the other day, like freelance photographers. I'm a freelance guy who contributes to CNN. This is not just a streaming, a Pro AV device. This is a broadcast piece of hardware, and you could hit the IRD at CNN, right? If you're a freelancer for CNN, for example, right? Is that
exactly? Or your local station, or a foreign entity, France, broadcaster in Italy, for a big worldwide story. Yes, and and just like all of the products that we've discussed and the technology, it utilizes our patented award-winning SST. And SST is really at the core of of our product line and what we do. And it's just as beneficial, if not more so, for somebody who wants to be on a skateboard streaming on to YouTube, to their YouTube channel, as it is for a broadcaster.
Actually, Neil, early on, we've been working with Avi West going on 7 years now. Early on, we actually did do live broadcasts for a skateboarding league, and the camera operators follow the action on skateboards with Avi West technology. So it's interesting you mentioned skateboarding. We've done it.
Right. Clip it on your belt and and away you go. Yeah. So it does. It's all about creating and distributing content. There's so many different new ways of doing it, monetizing it. So again, the offering, it's the Air 220. Can be used. It's a full broadcast capable H265 encoding system with the Mojo Pro and all of the accessories and capabilities and things that you can do with with an iPhone now and an Android phone. Extremely high quality, easy to deploy, and easy to monetize. The Air, I actually have one of the things, and again, this is, to my mind, the differentiator between the Be On Air offering and many other offerings that are out there, because I think we all know that there are a lot of $90 boxes that I could probably go get at Best Buy and sit down here and connect to my Wi-Fi at home and transmit signal. A little plastic box about the size of my iPhone, and it'll give me what it gives me. Probably isn't going to last forever if I'm taking it out. This is our approach, as I said, from a higher quality, more robust requirement than that, and we need that. And it's an extremely robust box, weatherproofed, ergonomic. The knobs, the control is very intuitive, easy to use, flows. It feels it feels like a significant piece of equipment that'll last for years, and it will. This is the type of thing that when I was a maintenance guy at CNN, I would look at and say, this probably lasts 3, 4, 5 years with the out in the field.
Yeah, it can take. I think a testament to the robustness of all of Avi West's products. The Live PD, we get units scratched up, dinged up. They drop them out of the the cop car, it falls out the door of the cop car while it's still moving. The stuff keeps working, keeps working.
And in a nutshell, with the air, you get all the functionality. One of the things that's interesting across our entire ecosystem of our encoders is the same level of specifications and functionality. So H.264, whether it's a Pro 380 or Air 220, all the specifications, features, and capabilities are pretty much the same. So it'll do live, record, file forward, live and simultaneous record, and record and simultaneous forward. As we had touched on earlier. One thing also we'll do both on the on the StreamHub side, definitely it'll also forward growing. So for real close, real time needs, it'll forward files as they're being recorded as well. Dual encoders, as we touched on before, and again, that's a real differentiator when. Number one, potentially, it's something, that has to be covered now, and the signal is terrible. It's a train wreck. It's, a riot, whatever is happening. And, there are times where, it's more important to get the signal, but we don't care that it's breaking up. But then right afterwards, file the forward, listen to me, dyslexic this morning. Forward the file, and then replays, would be on the full, clean, high-res format. Do, all the standard broadcast formats, SDI and HDMI interfaces. Can connect on any network. That's the big thing. Anybody can go live on any network. It'll utilize your Wi-Fi, your internet, and again, we kind of touched on a lot of this before. It utilizes the SST at its core, so it's performing at a much higher level and much higher capability than a $150 box from Best Buy, and or other. It goes up from there, and so our approach to this is not to be that $150 box. We're not going to sell that market. But, people who have grown potentially into needing more, wanting to do better. I mean, right now you can, any individual, if they can create the right content, they can create a channel and monetize. I think NAS Daily is a perfect example of I want to be able to facilitate the next NAS Daily, with a system like this to become what they've become. To have millions of followers and really monetize their content channel. Next. So just different ways of deploying it. Between the Mojo Pro and the Air itself, it's got a quarter 20 connector on the bottom. Go on a light post. There are all sorts of configurations available on the market, for especially on the phone side. From the Mojo Pro app side, it'll do live, it'll do record, it'll forward. It has editing function. It's not going to be a production editor, but you could pull clips and trim and build them together, combine clips, basic editing functions, as well as basics.
Yeah, I believe you can add like a little logo or some simple graphics, even like some lower thirds. So it's for basic stuff. It's pretty good.
Yes, and the central component, the cloud component, is the StreamHub transceiver, and in this instance, it's a very, very streamlined, very simple to use and understand, cloud-based transceiver system. Transmit the encoders to the cloud, access the cloud via web GUI, and this is what it will look like. And on the left, you have your input, and you can remote control your input, start and stop it, and monitor and control. And then on the right side, you can feed 5 different multiple 5 different IP outputs, and or they can be similar, they can be totally different. They can be an HLS, and RTMP, and SRT. It could be an SST to a user that has or an endpoint that has an OptiWest. So there actually is a lot more versatility than just feeding social media. You can feed the content anywhere you like. It comes with 100 gig of cloud record capability. It's about, I believe, 15 hours at full res.
We have a slide for it, but we should add the first year of is included. It's like you're getting it for free, and there's no usage. Some cloud vendors charge for storage, or they charge per megabit or kilobit of output use. So you could stream 24/7 and have no problems.
Right. And so again, one source, multiple deliveries, and a very easy web UI to control that, and to manage it. Not really a lot to do. Most users, I think, would not be getting into the web UI and doing anything other than selecting whether which transmitter they want, or which Mojo Pro they want to broadcast. The applications, like I said, it really spans any place that anybody needs to contribute, generate and contribute high quality content from a mobile application. With versatile workflows, whether it's sports, corporate video is a big one. A lot of meetings, a lot of the CEO, just a Zoom conference call is hard to manage when you have 500 participants. So instead they just send out a link, and it's just like a morning broadcast. Or an informational broadcast from the CEO out to all of the people.
Yeah, I think with us all in lockdown and isolated, we need to hear from our leader. We need that live interaction, and this can facilitate that. A lot of houses of worship, particularly here in California. I don't know about in other states, but California allowed casinos to reopen, but it will only until very recently have houses of worship been allowed to reopen, and then of course with following safety standards. So we've been helping a lot of churches stream, an empty church, the pastor, the priest, the rabbis in there by themselves, camera filming them, and then using this technology for that. We're also doing a drive-in church where we're outdoors, but then reaching an audience over social media. So maybe you guys listening will have a new application for us.
Okay, so there are others on the market, like I said, everything from 150 to some of our closer competitors to on up. And, so besides the form factor, and we offer a lot more flexibility and offer a lot more at a, what we feel is competitive entry-level price point for this type of technology. With the Be On Air, you get the transmitter and the app. And the app's extremely powerful because it doesn't limit you to one user, right? You can have, we have people that are using, they'll have 8, 10, 12 apps licensed, and they might use 2 this day at different hours, and, they're different contributors. But you get the app and the Air 220 transmitter that we already talked about, very rugged, high quality H.264 transmitter. We can do live, record, file forward, live and record simultaneous versus just a live transmission. Opens up just a ton more different workflows, ways to utilize it. Again, it's not just, oh, here's a little box I can go live with. It's a more little box to go live with and do more with. Up to 20 megabits per second, down to 800 millisecond latency, 4 audio channels. As I had mentioned, we can stream to 5 simultaneous IP outputs. Ooh, I'm sorry, my incoming phone almost knocked my screen away. So and as far as pricing, this is U.S. Pricing for the package. You get, again, it's the Be On Air with an internal battery and an AC adapter. There's a few options available. I think they're on the next slide. But
Yes.
the Pro app, the Be On Air cloud service with 1 year of service included to distribute 5 streaming outputs.
Right.
And moving forward with you already have the hardware, the Mojo apps are free. To continue the cloud service at full data is $945 a year. So it's quite affordable, especially, if you amortize that on a monthly basis, quite affordable for, I feel, most levels of real content providers. And, to be able to facilitate just, a much higher quality of, content to multiple different types of endpoints. It's a very affordable, very
right.
price performance value based package.
And I think, like Neil said earlier, this is a really good investment. This is not some plastic, you drop it once, it's smashed. This is a broadcast piece of hardware with a broadcast quality tool. It's a good investment. Vidovation, we can accept credit cards, so you can put on the credit card if you need to spread these payments out a little bit. I don't know. We have leasing programs. The thought just popped into my mind. I don't know if there's a minimum that we can do a lease, but for bigger projects, we can put 60, 72 months to spread some payments out. Here's some of the options that are available, optional pieces.
And it's pretty basic. You can get a backup internal battery with a external charger in the box. So you can have a charger that'll charge both batteries. You can swap out the internal. There's a belt clip that Jim had mentioned in the previous hour. The pouch with that comes with the Air 2, that works with the Air 220. A transportation case, really nice Pelican case. You can put everything into it and distribute it out. One of the things that we have users doing is doing just that with the Mojo Pros. They have a fly kit, or a kit that they send out to different people that they want to interview or utilize it with, and they send it out, and it's got a phone app, little mount or a tripod or light, and they just send it out, and with very, very basic instructions, and move it around. They have multiple ones. You can only use one at a time, but you can deploy as many as you want.
Okay. Then we have Vidovation offers data plans. You can get your own SIMs. We don't stop you from doing that, but it is a lot easier for support, etc. We do get enterprise consumer SIMs. They claim to have unlimited in the U.S. It's really not. There is a hidden cap. What they do is when you reach a certain number of gigs, they throttle it, and that does not work well with live video streaming. So we do recommend you get SIMs. Basically what we want to know is how many hours you'll broadcast live per month, and then we can put a data package together that fits your needs. Someone asked, this is an interesting question, what happens if I feed like a 4K camera into the Air 220? Will the unit convert?
The Air 220 is not 4K capable.
Right.
Our HE 4000 currently is, and our soon-to-be-released Pro 4000 series. I'm sorry, our Pro 4 series.
Yeah. So
the Air is strictly an HD SDI. It'll do up to 1080p, but it's strictly an HD SDI.
1080p 60 is the upper limit, right?
Right.
Yeah. But for that person running at 4K, I'm sure some cameras can shoot and record and have one output at 4K, and then they might have an HD. It depends on the camera. We'll have an HD out for a viewfinder, right? So some cameras you can mix and match. I'm not a camera expert. Or just run the camera at 1080p 60, right?
Correct. And along with it, the support, it is, a higher level of support than if you're buying, buying a $150 box, plug your iPhone into or something at Best Buy. You get email support, access to our portal for submitting trouble tickets, for getting user guides, for what's new, for firmware updates, things like that.
I have to say, and you might argue I'm biased, but Vidovation with a lot of AviWest products, we're frontline support. And for a French company, but not even just French company, for any company, their manuals are written. What I love about it, usually on the left side, is the written instruction. Click here, go here, step there, written out. But then there's a picture of where to press next to it. So if you're more of a visual person, you see the pictures. If you're more of a written person, so the documentation is great, which is tremendous when you're trying to use the technology. Don't you agree, Neil?
I do.
But we might be biased, but it really is great.
Yes.
So you can even see
the level
picture.
of documentation, and that you can go into user start, quick start guides, most of the, from the perspective of the Be On Air, it's the learning curve is very short. It's very easy to use and very easy to deploy. But these resources are there to be able to number one, become familiar initially, and then moving on, being able to maximize what you're doing with it. Okay.
Right. Okay. Let me go.
Getting toward the end here. So yeah, now it looks like we've got quite a few questions queued up. If we want to roll through those, probably a good way. I love the way you're moderating the question.
Oh, wait, I was on the wrong tab. Hold on, let me see. What kind of data rates can the Pro 380 treat? Oh, so you answered that. So the maximum data rate for the Pro 380.
I think, we had just touched on the 4K input. So Malcolm had asked, does the StreamHub do multiple social media feeds? Yes, it comes, as I had mentioned, there are 5. It comes equipped with 5 IP outputs. All 5 of those could be RTMP. They could be a combination of RTMP or SRT. And so you have 5 available to, you could do 3 different Facebook accounts and 2 YouTube accounts based on the way your question is worded. But yes, you do have the flexibility to do up to 5 in 5 discrete output feeds. Let's see, can the StreamHub be run on your own server like an AWS East? Yes. Well, for the Be On Air, the cloud is operating in either AWS or one of their competitive, clouds on an instance. Moving up from the Be On Air, yes, the same components with less. The Be On Air, as I said, is a very entry level lockdown, one input, one output. But we can, stepping up from there, we move into a cloud-based deployment with the same resources, any of the transmitters, Mojo Pros, with as many input channels and output channels as a user would need. So yes, we can scale it up, and those do. It lives on. The instance depends on the options deployed. Again, beyond Be On Air. But yes, it's deployable in a containerized format, Docker, or on a cloud instance. We do that all the time.
Well, I should add, Neil, that it's not AviWest's intention. If you go buy into the Be On Air ecosystem, it's not their intention to be able to add more inputs, add more.
Well, that's what I had mentioned. That's specifically Be On Air, but the Be On Air is really just the entry level into our cloud-based infrastructure, right?
Malcolm,
to be clear,
Malcolm needs more inputs, more field encoders, more outputs. He should buy the broadcast version of the StreamHub.
Well, I wouldn't call it a broadcast version, but yes,
the full version, the regular version.
To be clear, the Be On Air is not upgradable. So, so if the workflow needs go beyond the initial limitations that we're talking about at Be On Air, we can certainly, scale it and configure it, for a basic workflow in the beginning and scale to any level of workflow beyond that. Meaning, we have other people that we've worked with, many, they're not Be On Air, but they are very similar, either with Mojo Pro and Air and some combination with the cloud, Stream Hub and transceiver instance distributing to either social media or distributing exactly as we're talking about, in a Be On Air type application, just going beyond that.
Well, we're working with quite a few customers right now where they don't even own any cameras. They just have reporters, interviewers going out with Android or iPhones using the Mojo Pro app and a cloud Stream Hub. Their need is beyond the Be On Air offer, but like I said, we can design a system for any application, and hopefully we pretty much can meet anyone's budget. So if you want to just stick with the Mojo Pro ecosystem and the cloud, we can put an economical solution together. Every project is different. Usually what we do is you reach out to our sales department, and then me, Neil, and the extended Vidovation and AviWest team, we do like a 30-minute or 60-minute engineering discovery call to learn more about your workflow, your needs, and then learn what your budget is, and then we'll put a system together to fit that budget. So Neil, and our extended teams do that every day. So yeah, it looks like we got a lot of time left. Any other that was a great question.
Yeah, we actually have a whole. We probably have about 10 questions left lined up here in the Q&A that we.
Let me see. I didn't scroll down. Okay.
Great thing for us to continue. The next one was Brad had asked: is there the ability to do remote camera shading with your system? With the Be On Air, the Mojo Pro, I actually would need to check with our product experts to confirm this. But no, on the with the Be On Air, there would be no remote camera control, as we discussed in the first hour, certainly, based on a REMI type production. The iPhone, you do have the ability to enhance the ability in the Mojo Pro app to go in and do white balancing and iris and settings. What I would need to confirm, I am not sure. I do not believe we can do that remotely with from the Stream Hub, whether within the Be On Air.
I've never tried that actually. When a Mojo Pro app is up to try to remote in, I never tried to do that. But yeah, the operator can set white balance and ISO and some in the app. You can take.
We've got some pretty good features and functionalities on that. JP is asking, do you have a transmitter that will encode H.265 up to 4K point to point for medical transmission applications? Yes, we currently have our HE4000 encoder that is 4K capable, or it will do one 4K transmission or four simultaneous HD transmissions, and combined with the Stream Hub. It is H.265, and combined with the Stream Hub, we could do a full end-to-end 4K acquisition and distribution.
Yeah, I should say for medical applications too. I'm assuming you're thinking of the HE4000 platform. It can go up to 200 megabits, and we make some really sharp pictures that I know that's important if you're doing telemedicine. So that the HE platform would be perfect for that.
Michael asked, you need to pay for cellular service in addition to hardware price? Yes, you do. I mean, the system works over. Well, yes, you do if you want to use it remotely. You can certainly use it in a non-remote application in your house, connected to Ethernet and/or Wi-Fi together. But to utilize the bonded cellular capability, it needs to have service, which is, as Jim
Yeah,
had touched on earlier, is not included in the hardware package price. That really varies depending on how much data you're going to use.
right,
It
right.
can relatively minimal for an occasional contributor. It can be pretty significant if somebody's really transmitting a lot of hours a week. Um,
Well, connectivity, that's a good question. So maybe, I don't know, maybe we skipped over it or it was on one of the slides. With the Mojo Pro app, you stream with the cellular modem that's in your phone. You get a second connection, so we can bond two connections together in the phone using Wi-Fi. Now, the Wi-Fi could be your home's Wi-Fi, your internet in your home or your office, but it also could be a hotspot from a secondary cellular carrier. So, for example, when I'm demoing, I have a Verizon phone. I'll have an AT&T hotspot with me hooked to Wi-Fi. So if I'm out in the middle of a field somewhere in the middle of nowhere, I then have essentially a Verizon and AT&T bonding connection. And then to Neil's point, if you have pretty good internet at home, but you want some secondary Wi-Fi robustness, you don't have to use the cellular. Or if you already own an AT&T, Verizon, or T-Mobile hotspot, or you could use the hotspot of your phone as a second connection to the air. So the air can hook to your LAN. So I guess the possibilities are unlimited of how you could use a device. You don't have to use the cellular, I guess, is the point I'm trying to drive.
but any cellular usage would be something that the customer would need to purchase.
Right, right,
uh,
right.
I don't know if you want to take the next one, Jim. What is well the cost we had touched on, the list price of what, $37.95. How
Yeah,
does it compare to the LiveView Solo? We had a slide. I don't know if you if you want to, we'll go further. Yeah, right there. So this is kind of looking at what we offer and what things like the LiveView Solo or the Solo Plus offer. So again, we have the transmitter, the Air 220 plus the app. We have much deeper features and capabilities as far as live
well,
forward.
one thing I'm pretty sure that's missing from this slide, um,
Well,
I don't like to mention names. The L company, they charge extra for bonding. You have to pay a monthly fee to bond, and their device doesn't include any modems. You have to use multiple external modems, and the external modems, USB modems, are really consumer-based technology. The what I mentioned at the top of the first hour or the first session was what makes AviWest different. Neil touched on this. The Air 220 is our broadcast hardware. You're getting the patented high gain antennas, internal modems that connect to all the available LTE, 3G, 4G, LTE bands that are available. You're not going to get that with LiveView. So the modems are better. You're going to get a more reliable connection. This is the same transmission technology the PGA is using for those golf tournaments. So the PGA would never use a Solo for anything.
right.
So we're giving you tech very close to the PGA. The only difference is we're using a 264 codec instead of 265, but AviWest's 264 codec is amazing, even though it's older technology.
But also directly to Yasmin's question is, if you look right here, is the number of outputs. There's a single RTMP output where we can provide up to 5. Not up to, the Be On Air comes equipped with 5 IP outputs that can be any flavor, across the board, plus the storage in the month. So those are some of the differences. Brad asked, do you have a plan for just using the Mojo Pro app on its own without buying the Air Pack? Actually, Brad, we do. We have multiple. It's not a plan. It's just Be On. As I said, the Be On Air is kind of an entry level package. into our cloud-based, infrastructure and ecosystem. But yes, we have a number of users doing that right now, where
Right.
they strictly use Mojo Pros with Cloud Stream Hub instance to record and to produce and to utilize, and it's available both on monthly rentals.
Right.
It's effectively a SaaS. Well, not effectively, it is. It's a SaaS
Right.
offer that we
Right.
have,
Right.
and we can definitely facilitate that.
And similar to the Be On Air offer, you could start with one Mojo Pro license, one input, but if you buy the standard Cloud Stream Hub, you can expand. So you can start with one. We can make it very economical for you to get started, and then as your business grows. But you could have, as Neil mentioned earlier, you could have 100 reporters out there with the app. You can download the app on the store for free. There's no charge for that. If you only have one input, though, only one person can broadcast at a time. But most news organizations, it's staggered. One reporter's doing a thing in New York in the morning, then someone's in Chicago, LA, wherever the world is. But if you have multiple people, just buy a few more inputs. So if you have 3 people broadcasting at a time, buy 3 licenses. But you still could have hundreds of people with the app ready to go, ready to connect. The only problem is if they connect and all the inputs are in use, it'll just say connection not available. They'll just have to wait. But then you have the recording function and the forwarding. So then you don't have to make your interview. You just record it and forward it later when an input frees up.
And again, though, well beyond, to me, most of the users that we're getting the traction, and again, kind of the original excitement that I had mentioned in the beginning about the stream, being here at Streaming Media, is it's just content producers. It's not just these people. It's anybody who wants to produce content, and people are, from iPhones. So the last question I see is, we have 2 to 4 NDI HX PTZ cameras in the studio and need a hub that can do more than a phone setup. I'm not sure, Eric, if I understand exactly that question that you're saying, more than a phone setup. So what you're saying is if you need to utilize the 4 NDI PTZ cameras across our infrastructure, that we could certainly control. We could certainly control the PTZ cameras remotely. I cannot currently input NDI into one of my field encoders. I can input and output NDI from my Stream Hub. But if the question is, that you want to remote a PTZ camera, transmit it back NDI, that we cannot do yet. NDI and 2110, are probably on the roadmap, but much further down for an input to an encoder functionality than
Right.
than they are for an input and output to our Stream Hub. That, as I said, we are doing now. 2110 is on the roadmap, but not from the field.
Well, what some of our customers are doing right now, we're working on a project right now at the moment, actually, where traditional cameras out in the field hooked to Pro 380s hits a Stream Hub in their studio, and then we have NDI out of the Stream Hub going into, Vidovation is also a new tech partner, going into some TriCasters, into a TriCaster, and it's an NDI connection from the Stream Hub to the TriCaster in the studio. I think this gentleman, Eric, wants NDI cameras out in the field to connect to the Pro or the Air, which we don't do yet. But there's a reason why you may not want to do that, and I'll explain why. You don't want to use an IP-based camera. NDI I consider a form of IP. And here's the reason why. The AviWest ecosystem does not have control over the bitrate. So you're going to set the NDI to a constant bit rate, feed it into the cellular, but the cellular may not have it, so you set it, say you set it to 10 megabits per second, but we might be fluctuating between 8, 9, 12 megabits. If we dip below 10, you're going to lose the connection. It's always preferable with bonded cellular to feed HDMI or SDI in, have Avi West do the encoding, because if the connection bit rate changes, the stream hub actually tells the encoder, whoa, you're trying to send 10 megabits, the pipe just collapsed to 8 megabits. So we call it variable bit rate. So it'll vary the bit rate down to 8 because the pipe has changed. NDI comes in at 10 megabits, the pipe's closed to 8, you're going to lose the connection. So I guess theoretically, Neil, the data bridge could be used to bring NDI feeds through, but we prefer to have a closed loop where the encoding, the transport, the bonding, the decoding are all in a closed loop, controlled by Avi West. Maybe you can explain that better, Neil.
No. Actually, I think you did a great job, especially with the the challenge on the acquisition side of IP 2110 NDI, things like that, is just that that is already operating at 1 bit rate. It's not an SDI signal that that we are then encoding it
Right.
and manipulating based on bit rate. So it's a limitation and it's a trap. I don't know, if someday, those will be, possibilities and what workarounds, we might find in
Right.
Kevin asked about pricing, as Jim had said earlier. Jim, I don't know if you want to put up and make sure that,
People saw, oh, wait, I go the wrong way.
Or,
yeah, we're publishing
asking,
to be on air.
The question is not be on air, Jim. He's asking about just one input on the StreamHub cloud. So again, it's to put up your contact info for him to reach out directly to you.
Yeah. So of course you can email me, but a great place, sales@vidovation.com. You can call 949-777-5435, or just go to vidovation.com. Every application, I mean, that's pretty straightforward. A cloud stream up with one input for a Mojo Pro.
What I would say, Kevin, as Jim was kind of going with this is, where it starts at the very basic, it's a very nominal monthly fee if you're just talking one input, one output, which then can scale to, depending on as you add outputs, if you add an additional input. Is there any encoding or transcoding, multi-viewer?
There's a lot of
I've seen it go from
features.
a few $100s ish to $3,000 ish on a monthly basis.
Right.
So it's really it's all based on the configuration. The entry level again is relatively relatively affordable and pretty low, but it scales quickly.
Yeah.
One of the things that scales quickly is I had touched on earlier, one of the earlier questions was about the AWS instances, is that literally, depending on the features, functionality, quantities, things like that, it scales the instance required. And the instances, a basic instance on AWS is X, a beefier instance in AWS is X times 5. And so again, the configuration and the pricing scales quite a bit, but it can all be facilitated quite easily. So I do hope you'll reach out for further info.
Yeah. Our sales, the Vidovation sales team is very knowledgeable. My contact information is here on the slide, and we can get you some pricing pretty quick. Yeah, Neil. I'm the CTO, so I have some to memorize, but it's better to talk to the sales team and hash out all the features that you need. We don't want to quote a price and then not realize you need the multi-view, or you need more IP outputs, or you need the data bridge, etc. So did we cover all the questions? If we missed someone, of course we apologize. You can reach out to me directly. If you have higher level of questions, I can loop Neil in. We can loop the Avi West R&D department in, the engineering team, if you guys have really deep stuff that you want to discuss. Maybe we'll let, wait, 2 more open questions. I think we covered that. We all good? I think we are. All right, so let me bring up the next presentation and we'll give everyone a little break.